Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Namaskaram. Welcome to this lecture on Shri Vedantam Lakshmi Narayana Sastry Garu. In the previous lectures, we have been discussing about two famous personalities who are regarded as a part of the Kuchipudi quartet. Now, the personalities who are there in the Kuchipudi quartet are very consciously referred with that name because they have given a new direction or a new form or a new strength to this Kuchipudi dance tradition during a particular period of time when it was a crisis to this art form. And not just Kuchipudi, but any art form in general. Now, following that list, we have in the third place Shri Vedantam Lakshmi Narayana Sastry Garu, who was the disciple of Shri Vempati Venkat Narayana Garu. Today, when you think about Kuchipudi, the first thing that strikes your mind are the solo dances that the girls do all over the world. Even though it is a male dance drama tradition, today undoubtedly around 80% of the dancers are women and around 80% of the presentations are happening as solo item presentations. Of course, we have some excellent male performers in Kuchipudi and some beautiful Nritya Rupakams and Kuchipudi Yakshaganams that are being presented. But the major share of the presentations and the performers is solo dance and women. And to whom does this credit go? It is to Vedantam Lakshmi Narayana Sastry Garu without a second thought. He is undoubtedly the doyen of Kuchipudi dance, and he was born in 1880 in the Kuchipudi village to a traditional family, and his father's name was Shri Vedantam Ramesham Garu and mother was Srimati Savitramma Garu. Vedantam Lakshmi Narayana Sastry Garu, like any other Kuchipudi young boy, started learning dance from his father and later for a professional training was under the tutelage of Guru Shri Vempati Venkat Narayana Garu, about whom we discussed in the last lecture. If you have remembered what is discussed in the last lecture, Vempati Venkat Narayana Garu and his father Vempati Kodandaramaya Garu were very much in touch with the Devadasi dance traditions also, and they also provided Nattuangam to the Devadasis of in and around places of Kuchipudi. Similarly, Vedantam Lakshmi Narayana Sastry Garu also, because of his guru's guidance and influence, was always exposed to the Devadasi tradition of dancing. And it was during those times that, as we understood from the previous lectures, that there was always a crisis for the art form and something new has to be tried to propagate, popularize, and very importantly make this art form survive. So whenever he used to watch the performances of the Devadasis, Sri Lakshmi Narayana Sastry Garu was very much attracted to the Mukhabinayam that these dancers always portrayed. And he had a lot of personal liking to the aspect of Mukhabinayam in terms of dance. One important thing about Lakshmi Narayana Sastry Garu, which added as a benefit to the Kuchipudi dance, is about the liking of he had the passion of traveling in and out of the Kuchipudi village to different villages, towns and cities And he always wanted to watch performances, always wanted to travel, always wanted to see how others are doing their productions or performances, be it Devadasis or dance drama productions of any of these places concerned. It was rarely that he was staying in the Kuchipudi village. And because of this passion for travel that Lakshmi Narayana Shastri Garu had very naturally, he encountered himself with many of the Devadasi dance traditions which were there around the Andhra region, and also many dance drama traditions that were also there, and understood one thing very definitively, that the taste of the audience has completely changed and the attention span of the audience has changed. And now the audience don't want to watch long performances but would like to watch performances which are little shorter in span, which are more fast in tempo, and which talk about a particular theme but not an array of emotions. And he also understood, because of his interaction with the Devadasis, that women play a very important role in the propagation and the popularization of the dance form. And there are certain emotions that when women themselves portray are more natural than men doing those roles. So these were the beliefs of Vedantam Lakshmi Narayana Shastri Garu because of his travel experiences. And as a teacher, as an innate teacher that he was, apart from a performer, wherever he used to travel and he used to stay at a certain place and get in touch with the other people, the other zamindars or the other government connected people, and used to perform outside the temples or in the major festivals that the zamindaris have conducted, he used to stay in houses of the hosts or the zamindars, and whenever people came to him with a true enthusiasm that they want to learn this dance, he never even thought for a second to stay back in that place for over 3 to 10 months and teach them at least the basic fundamental nuances of Kuchipudi dance. So that is how he traveled to so many cities, villages and towns, spreading the flavor of Kuchipudi and teaching hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of students. He understood that there are certain contextual benefits of the solo tradition of dancing, starting from there, where he understood that a solo performance is more economically beneficial, easy to perform, and more attractive to the audience of that particular period of time in that society. So there were a lot of contextual benefits that solo tradition carried. So what did he do? He taught many Devadasis the Padams of Kshetraya. Now, why did the Devadasis learn Padams of Kshetraya from Lakshmi Narayana Shastri Garu? Because the Devadasis of the Andhra were very well adept with Telugu. So they didn't need an external expertise to understand the language of Telugu. But the Devadasis of Tanjavur or other areas where Telugu is not the regional language for them or not very natural for them, for those Devadasis it was very important that they understand the nuances of the Telugu language. If you cannot understand the regional language of a dance form, it is very difficult for any dancer to perform the dance or a dance piece on a very authentic level. Let's say, suppose I am a Mohiniyattam dancer. Now, if I don't know Malayalam, it will be very difficult for me to authentically present Mohiniyattam. Similarly, when someone is learning Kuchipudi, it is but very important for them to have a basic understanding of the Telugu language and should be able to speak the colloquial language. Otherwise, not understanding a language will always be a hurdle for the dancers to emote the emotions in that language in which the literature is written. So, because of the extensive tours that Vedantam Lakshmi Narayana Shastri Garu has done, over the years and visited many temples, met so many Devadasis, met so many dance gurus, many Natuvanars, and many dance drama Bhagavatulu of the different areas, had lot of links or a sort of friendly connections with them. And because of that, he became extremely famous. And he was extremely good in Mukajabhinayam. Because his guru, Venkat Narayana Garu, also, if you remember, was an expert of Mukajabhinayam, because of which he could also do Balinta Vesham and Dadinamma Vesham very successfully. So he absorbed that nuances of Mukajabhinayam from his guru, and he also had that innate talent of doing the Mukajabhinayam, and because of which the emotion of the padams became very easy for him. So the Devadasis of the other regions requested Lakshmi Narayana Shastri Garu to come to their place and teach them the padams of Kshetraya. And because of this teaching the Devadasis, it was more not like a teaching but a sort of interaction that they had, that the nuances of Kuchipudi were absorbed by the Devadasi tradition, and the nuances of the Devadasi tradition was also absorbed by the Kuchipudi through Vedantam Lakshmi Narayana Shastri Garu. One example that I would like to quote in this lecture is, let's say suppose he is invited by a particular samsthanam to teach the Devadasis dance there. Now he goes to that particular samsthanam and teaches the padams of Kshetraya there, or some dance nuances or nuances of Mukajabhinayam. He was so good in teaching this or showcasing these emotions or explaining about certain compositions that the gurus of these Devadasis also learnt from him. A very good example is Shri C.R. Acharyulu Garu, who is also a doyen of Kuchipudi dance, a very great legendary guru who has also brought in so many innovations in Kuchipudi dance, about whom we learn in the further lectures, also belongs to the temple dance tradition from Nuzividu. So once when happened was when Lakshmi Narayana Shastri Garu visited the Nuzividu Samsthan on their invitation to teach their Devadasis, C.R. Acharyulu Garu, also who belonged to the temple dance tradition, also learned from Lakshmi Narayana Shastri Garu a lot of nuances of Kuchipudi, to a certain extent that he himself became a Kuchipudi guru after a period of time. He was also the first to start teaching students from non-traditional families. Until that time, Kuchipudi was only confined to those 15 traditional families who multiplied in number by marrying people from the other families with different surnames in the Kuchipudi fraternity. But Vedantam Lakshmi Narayana Shastri Garu, because of his travelling, taught so many students who didn't belong to the traditional families. So probably he was the first person to spread the wings of Kuchipudi to the other families to which Kuchipudi was not a familial tradition. And he started to experiment with the solo dances that were called items during those times. And how did he start experimenting? He took some excerpts of these yakshaganas that Chinta Venkatramaya Garu have choreographed or directed, and those small excerpts and Bhama Kalapam excerpts, he took them and made them into shorter pieces and then taught them to the people, because he used to stay for shorter period of times in different places, and because of the decrease in the attention span of the audience also, presenting one entire Kuchipudi Yakshaganam sometimes might not be a successful thing, is what he thought. So he thought that presenting the Kuchipudi excerpts from the Yakshaganas as small solo pieces will be like very beneficial both for the performers and for the audience to watch dancers dancing to a fast number with the Kuchipudi tempo, and of course talking about the stories of Vishnu from the Bhagavata Purana, a very new thing that has crept into, and these pieces were called as items during those days. And it became so successful that the dancers and the gurus from the traditional families of Kuchipudi also started learning the same from Lakshmi Narayana Shastri Garu whenever he used to come back from his travels to his home in Kuchipudi village. Now, after taking excerpts from these Yakshaganas or Bhama Kalapams, there was more to do because again this was becoming monotonous, the same old pieces. So what did Lakshmi Narayana Shastri Garu do? He took the Vagyekara compositions. When I say Vagyekara, like Narayana Tirthas, Tarangams, or Annamacharya Sankirtanas, or Tyagaraja Kritis, or Ashtapadis by Jayadeva, and sometimes some traditional Tillanas that the Devadasis used to perform, or the Padams that the Devadasis used to perform, the Javalis of the Dharmapuri Samsthanam, which was also near to the Krishna belt. So all these compositions, with his experience of traveling and watching other performers of different traditions do it, he started choreographing them in Kuchipudi dance style. And he wanted a technique of his own to be showcased, more so of a Nritya tradition than a Natya tradition. If you remember what is the difference between Natya and Nritya, you will know that. This was explained in the earlier lectures. So he wanted a technique of Kuchipudi Nritya to be developed and different Vagyekara compositions to be performed by the Kuchipudi dancers, because then spreading of the Kuchipudi dance would become very easy and popularizing and propagating would become financially also very viable and easy, and people are wanting to watch that kind of performances from the dancers. So by thinking like that, he almost choreographed 100 solo items on his first disciple, Sri Vempati Peddasatyam Garu. Sri Vempati Peddasatyam Garu, who was a very well-known performer of Kuchipudi, who belonged to the traditional families, later on migrated to Madras, which was the hub of culture and hub of South Indian cinema back those days, and he was the very first disciple of Lakshmi Narayana Shastri Garu. And another important disciple that Lakshmi Narayana Shastri Garu had was Ayyanki Tandava Krishna, who didn't belong to the traditional families. So having Peddasatyam Garu and Tandava Krishna Garu as his foremost prominent disciples, he almost composed 100 solo items on these two people, taking the Vagyekara compositions from the different arenas of music and literary texts around that were available to him. Imagine back in those days choreographing 100 solo items as an experiment. Imagine the vision that Lakshmi Narayana Shastri Garu had, the contributions that he has done, the hard work that he has done. Today, when everything is available just at our fingertips, how difficult it is to imagine ourselves composing or choreographing 100 solo items over a short span of time. It would be really difficult. But during those times when technology was not there, information was not available at our fingertips, and everything has to be researched, searched for, and read, understood, and then choreographed and experimented in the first place. So I think it's humongous, the contribution of Lakshmi Narayana Shastri Garu to what Kuchipudi is today as a solo dance prakriya, or Vyasta Nrityamshas that they are called, is huge and humongous. And then with his son Vedantam Jagannatha Sharma Garu, another well-known guru, and Tandava Krishna Garu, he then made another 25 solo items and purposefully sent them on a tour to Hyderabad, Pune and Bombay to present these 25 solo items in different centers wherever there was an opportunity, just to merely spread the Kuchipudi flavor everywhere and people to understand how beautiful Kuchipudi is a dance form is. So more so it was both a vision and it was worked like a mission with the hard work of Lakshmi Narayana Shastri garu. And when Jagannatha Sharma garu and Tandava Krishna garu went on a tour to Hyderabad, Pune and Bombay, he sent Vempati Pedda Satyam garu and his another disciple Vedantam Raghavaya garu in another direction down south to also present his another set of 25 to 30 solo items in places like Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. So that was the missionary vision that, Lakshmi Narayana Shastri garu had to propagate and popularize the Kuchipudi dance form and the solo items as such, because now it is easy to present Kuchipudi. You don't have any other things as a hurdle that a particular character has to come or they have to practice or someone has to come to learn this. Sometimes it is not possible for them for certain unavoidable reasons, and then you have to go for a replacement and again practicing them. All these were becoming difficult over a period of time, because back those days it was possible. But as the time passed on, all these became very difficult things to keep in one place. So he thought that solo items were the best options to do, and this is how he sent his disciples to propagate the Kuchipudi dance. Now, as I said before, the Devadasis of the other region to whom Telugu was not their natural mother tongue, they requested and invited Lakshmi Narayana Shastri garu to teach them Mukajabhinayam and also the Padams of Kshetraya. One best example is of the very famous Devadasi and a great dancer herself, Srimati Bala Saraswati garu, who was a doyen of Sadirattam of the Devadasi dance in Tamil Nadu, who herself became an ardent disciple of Sri Vedantam Lakshmi Narayana Shastri garu and learnt a lot of nuances of Mukajabhinayam under him. So once when Lakshmi Narayana Shastri garu was performing along with his disciples in Hyderabad, one of the doyens of the contemporary dance in India, Sri Uday Shankar ji, happened to watch Lakshmi Narayana Shastri garu's performance with his disciples and invited them to perform at his Almora Center, which was a very prestigious stage to showcase any dance form to the cosmopolitan audience. So, and that's how he also propagated the Kuchipudi dance to the cosmopolitan audience in the very first place. Now, Vedantam Lakshmi Narayana Shastri garu was also offered a job in a school in Machilipatnam called as Azad School on the nationalist lines. This Azad School in Machilipatnam has changed its name to Jai Hind School and later it became a national college now. But in those days it was called as Azad School, and probably he was the first one to work as a dance teacher in a school in Andhra. So it was only the performances that these families used to do, but as such as a job as a dance teacher in a school kind of environment was not there until then. And probably Lakshmi Narayana Shastri garu was the very first person to be appointed as a dance teacher in a school setup. And he was also the first one to teach women the Kuchipudi dance. He also started teaching women Kuchipudi dance when he was traveling from one place to the other. Apart from the Devadasis of the Devadasi community, exclusively Kuchipudi also, he started teaching Kuchipudi dance to women. And it was because of Lakshmi Narayana Shastri garu that women were introduced to Kuchipudi dance, who completely took over the dance tradition to more than 80% today. His first female student, we don't know the name, but we know that she was from Nuzividu, from Andhra, and her father's name was Shri Mrityunjay Sharma, and she was the very first female student of Lakshmi Narayana Shastri garu, but she couldn't continue learning under him for a long period of time. It was only for a very brief period that she had her training. But then Kanchanamala, along with her sister Rangamani, in the year 1944, joined Lakshmi Narayana Shastri garu as his disciples and learnt for a lot of years under Lakshmi Narayana Shastri Garu's tutelage. All right. So some of the disciples of Vedantam Lakshmi Narayana Shastri Garu are Shri Vempati Pedda Satyam, Shri Ayyanki Tandava Krishna, Vedantam Raghavaya Garu, Vedantam Jagannatha Sharma Garu, who was his son, Hemadri Chidambara Dikshitulu, Vempati Chinasatyam Master Garu, PVG Krishna Sharma Garu, Vedantam Prahlada Sharma Garu, Josyula Sitarama Shastri Garu, Sri Nataraja Ramakrishna Garu, Korada Narsimharao Garu, Yeleswarapu Nageshwara Sarma Garu, Dr. Uma Ramarao Garu, all these in the Kuchipudi dance tradition. And Shri Gauri Ammal, Ramaya Pillai Garu and Chamaraj Garu, who was Ramaya Pillaya's son, they all belong to the Sadirattam community, the Devadasi community from Tamil Nadu, or the temple dance community from Tamil Nadu. He also taught all of them, and of course including the famous dancer and Devadasi Bala Saraswati Garu also. You see the names of Uma Ramarao Garu here, and all these people were largely benefited because of the travels of Lakshmi Narayana Shastri Garu. Whenever he used to come to Vishakhapatnam for some performances, Uma Ramarao Garu and her sister Sumati Kaushal Garu made sure that they learn under Lakshmi Narayana Shastri Garu's guidance and tutelage. And all the disciples of Lakshmi Narayana Shastri Garu that I am mentioning here in this list are all the famous personalities of Kuchipudi, about whose life and contributions you will see in the further lectures. Imagine every disciple of Lakshmi Narayana Shastri Garu, almost every disciple of Lakshmi Narayana Shastri Garu has turned into another legend of Kuchipudi dance. Now, what you understand by this is that when you have a vision to teach a dance, and when you teach the dance as a mission, you don't just grow as a guru. You don't just become popular as a guru. What happens is, because your vision is genuine, your mission is genuine and honest for the upliftment of the art form, each person who learns under you also in turn into a legend because of the strength that the guru gives. While we are learning and when we are teaching, we benefit from that. But when we are teaching, who carries this forward is because of the genuine efforts that the guru keeps. Anyone can become a teacher, but it takes very few people to be a guru. And all the gurus mentioned here have learnt dance under the tutelage of this guru's guru, who is Kuchipudi Natya Kalanidhi, Shri Vedantam Lakshmi Narayana Shastri Garu. His last student was Akhila, who was from Hyderabad. And Master Garu never stayed in Kuchipudi village at any point of time. It was just for a few months that he stayed, and always his entire life he was only traveling, teaching and performing and experimenting on dance. So he stayed in Hyderabad to teach one Srimati Akhila, who was his last disciple. And after she got married and moved to Madras, Master Garu also moved to Madras to teach her. And again, when she came back to Hyderabad through her parents' house for a certain reason, Master Garu also traveled with her. And after coming back to Hyderabad, after a few days, because of certain illness, he breathed his last on July 13th, 1957. It is just that the mortal world that he has left, but the innovations, more than innovations, the new things that he has bought into, the contributions of Lakshmi Narayana Shastri Garu is immense. He has given a new direction to Kuchipudi to what it is today. No matter how many innovations Vempati Master Garu has done, or Pedda Satyam Garu has done on the silver screen, or the scholarly literature and scholarly work that Nataraja Ramakrishna Garu has done, or the scholarly work that Umarama Rao Garu has done, and became the head of the department of a big dance department in Pottisri Ramalu Telugu University, or the innovations that C.R. Acharyalu Garu has done in Ahmedabad in the Darpana Dance Academy by Mrinalini Sarabhai. All these speak about what they learnt and believed from their Guru. He not just gave the strength of the Kuchipudi tradition to them, but also gave them the confidence that it is a good thing to keep art dynamic, and it's a good thing to always experiment and do innovative works in the dance to keep it alive and make it survive for the next centuries to come. Remembering and saluting this great master, because of whom Kuchipudi is looking like this now, I end my lecture, and we'll see more about the solo repertoire and the innovations that Master Garu has done in the part 2. Until then, thank you and namaste.